houses. We've got some new faces. We've got some exciting, sizzling players. And, last year, I think maybe Brandon Wager was probably one of the most exciting football players that we've seen in the state in a long time. And his brother is going to be healthy this year, so it'll be fun to watch him. And I'm excited. I mean, the Holuska kid, to me, is a neat kid to go watch. We got to see them last year against DCG, and he's got all these little gnats running around, and he gets them the ball, and he stands in the pocket, and he's a good athlete. So, yeah, I'm excited about the programs and the kids.
Well, you're talking about the Carroll quarterback there. Let's take a look right now at our semi-tough teams in Class 3A. These are teams we're thinking, now there's more than four here, Dave.
Yeah, I couldn't figure, I'm sorry. I mean, don't you think it's tough?
Simple math, man. Harlan, always going to be there. Harlan, in fact, has the best record for a long time, 56-4, just 4 losses in 5 years. And then you've got Sioux City Heelan. Those two have always, since Heelan moved down to 3A, have always battled it out. Look out, Harlan. Carroll's going to be nipping at your heels. And then you've also got Clear Lake, kind of the forgotten team out of northern Iowa. They're also very talented, are the Lions. And Pella, always been traditionally strong. How about a team from out east? How about Williamsburg?
I don't know why, and not to mention that Harlan's 77-18 in the playoffs since '72, and they've won 11 state championships. So it's hard to argue with them being there. And if you look at some teams and you get excited about the picks of the Carroll, sometimes that gets you in trouble, especially like with the expanded field. I think people will forget about Heelan too because Wager's gone, but McCabe's a great 2-sport, 3-sport athlete. And I think that they've built something strong there. They've got a good strength program. So those two teams are going to be arch rivals for many years to come. They're not going to like each other, and I think that's good for all of us. But Carroll's going to be there. Everybody forgets about Clear Lake. All Fred does is get them there. But I think two teams that finally have a chance of maybe notching something out of 3A outside of the schools that you would choose would be Pella. I think that the coaching staff there and what they do is fantastic, and you can really see a depth in that program. Last year, with the expanded playoffs, they were able to keep going because of the discipline and the intensity in the program. Same thing with Coach Ritchie, and Coach Ritchie as a bad man there in Austin Blythe. I guess physically this kid's one of the best players out there too. So the Adas and the Pella Dutch are two teams kind of that I think people forget about, that because of the expanded playoff, because of tradition, I like them.
Well, you take a look at some of the talent that is in the state, and it seems like, Dave, it is weighing heavily towards the western side of the state, the teams we just looked at right there. But some of the players that are getting looks at the next level, of course, Brandon Schreff, right at the top of everybody's list in Denison. He actually committed to Iowa. And then you've got Matt Hoke out of Harlan. He also committed to the Hawkeyes. There's a lot of early commitments, maybe too early. But you also take a look at Zach McCabe. You mentioned him out of Sioux City Heelan. And then also another very talented quarterback. He might be an athlete at the next level out of Storm Lake, and Bobby Brown. They're also going to be a pretty darn good team at the 3A level in Storm Lake in the western side of Iowa. So you see the talent there, Dave, is always on the western side. At least this year it appears that they're on the western side. Not always. But then you've got the teams out east, Pella and Williamsburg, that we're going to have to keep an eye on the radar.
Yeah, and the McCabe kid is interesting. We don't even know what sport he's going to play yet, do we? I mean, he hasn't really committed to anything specifically. But, yeah, we've got some tremendous talent. And I think the story to watch will be Holuska. I think it was interesting because of the family and because of the tradition to go watch him play. And right away, my thinking was, well, yeah, you're not, if you're in Iowa or Iowa State or you got to sign him because you can't have him go somewhere else and be awesome like Kyle Orton or something. So he's in that category. He probably has more physical tools as far as, he can't throw it like Kyle did, but he can probably run around, and he's probably a better athlete as far as moving. Kyle was a little slow. He'll tell you that. But so I don't know. But I'm not at a camp, and I'm not a talent evaluator, but he's neat. And so, yeah, I'm with you, BJ. A lot of talent.
Well, let's take a look at our Dome contenders here. These are teams that could upset somebody along the way and actually have a shot at the Dome. Marion out east, New Hampton, Decorah. Here's the eastern teams.
Yeah.
Grinnell also out east. You throw in Dennis and Schleswig and then also Lamar's. That's going to be another competitive district right there with those two teams in it.
No kidding. New Hampton just seems to be solid. Marion the last couple of years, and never, ever can you talk 3A football without talking Decorah. Grinnell, really, after those really strong late 90s, early 2000 teams, they've still been a playoff contender, but we haven't seen them flirt with the Dome, so we'll see if Coach Dunn can get it done with that group. But I'm a big Decorah believer. They just gutted their way. And once again, I've said it, that's my mission statement. The longer these playoffs go now with the expanded, the better the traditional powers show up.
Well, we've still got more teams to take a look at in Class 3A, including a look at another Iowa recruit in 3A. Kirk Ferentz really hit this class hard. Austin Veer, quarterback at Ballard, we'll talk about him. And there's your 3A Dome Busters. Of course, we got to throw Ballard in there. How about Boone? The Toreadors look to be really strong this year, along with Dallas, Center Grimes, Centerville, Mount Pleasant, Crestwood, and also West Delaware is part of the Dome Busters in 3A.
Well, you talked about athletes, too. There'll be an athlete down at Mount Pleasant, another Cotton running around there. We talked about there's a lot of brothers running around. But, yeah, hey, you had a nice little talk there with Coach Christian. Good guy.
Yeah, he's a very good guy and a very good coach. We'll see what his team does for this year. Possibly the most talented field in 3A at the quarterback position. You've got Austin Veer, Bobby Brown, Zach McCabe, and also Blake Haluska out of Carroll, who could be perhaps the top quarterback in the entire state. We'll have to keep an eye on him. When we come back, more to come as you're looking at the 3A preseason top 10. You're watching the 2009 High School Football Preview Show right here on your Mediacom Connection.